Brought to you by Penguin.
Out for Blood by Deborah Masson. Read by Christine Hewitt. Chapter 1. Monday. George Christie steered, turning the tractor around. His gloved hands gripped at the vibrating wheel, backside bouncing as the tractor made its way along the fairway. He surveyed the multicoloured foliage either side of him, clouds of breath being pulled away by the strong breeze, low sunrise spreading across the course. He sighed with contentment. This was why he loved the job. Practically his own boss, and, at times like these, he was the only person in the world, in a part of the world that he'd happily live and die on. Hazelhead Golf Club's Mackenzie Championship Course. Mid-October was a time he especially loved. Late in the golf season, the greens only needed mowing once or twice a week, so his priorities were the maintenance work and repairs to prepare for winter. The course was quieter, later sunrise meaning delayed tee-off times. His job this morning, raking the bunkers. George looked ahead, saw a spattering of beer cans lying on the green, right in the direction he was going. He tutted, stopped the tractor and jumped down. He walked towards the cans, shaking his head and muttering under his breath. Sometimes he despaired of the local kids. Surely there were better places to be hanging around after dark, but, judging by the litter and incidents of vandalism or pure thoughtlessness he often found on the course in the early mornings, it seemed they didn't think so. He carried the cans back to the tractor and put them behind his seat. As he pulled himself up into the cabin and sat, he spotted Tom Bradshaw ahead, teeing up on the 5th. He chuckled to himself. No disputing the old guy's dedication to the game. Tom was a Yorkshireman who'd moved to Aberdeen 20 years ago as part of his retirement plans. George had seen him nearly every day for the last 2 decades. In his 80s, and a likeable guy, Tom was always the first golfer on the course, no matter the weather. George sat with the tractor idling. He watched Tom tee off before he got moving again. He followed the gentle downhill dogleg to the left, stopped the vehicle, jumped down and grabbed his rake. Once happy with the state of the bunker, he climbed back onto the tractor, whistling low as he went. When he arrived in front of the 5th tee, he could see Tom's trolley and clubs over the brow of the fairway. No sign of Tom. George checked again before deciding to wait in his tractor for Tom to return, taking the opportunity to take his mobile phone out of his pocket to try for the umpteenth time to crack the Candy Crush level he was stuck on. After a few minutes of getting nowhere with the game, and with still no sign of Tom, George got down from the tractor and walked the fairway to the trolley, his eyes scanning the grass's condition, his mind on the 2 Scotch pies he'd packed for lunch, hungry already. He raised his head as he neared the trolley, doing a double take before gasping, all thoughts of lunch gone. Tom was lying on his side on the ground by the clubs. What the... George broke into a run. Had the old guy suffered a heart attack? He reached Tom in seconds and crouched, bending his head towards the man's chalk-white face to check if he was breathing. Tom mumbled and lifted his hand inches off the ground, trying to point with a quivering finger inside a white and black golf glove. George bent closer, trying to make out what he was saying, hearing nothing but a jumble of nonsense. Instead, he followed the direction of Tom's pointed finger, looking across to his left, eyes widening. Jesus Christ! George fell back onto the grass from his crouch, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. Not taking his eyes from the scene, he pulled himself into a seated position, legs outstretched, the morning dew seeping quickly through his work trousers. There, in the trees by the fairway, a woman...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?